interest only or repayment. So what do we do? If you're a property investor looking to obviously build a scalable, decent property portfolio, that question comes up a lot. Should I try my best to pay off the mortgages as soon as possible? Should I put them only on interest only so that my cash flow is better, and so on? Super quick video today, but before I get into it, do me a favor though, please hit the subscribe button. I'm going to give you 5 seconds now, plenty of time, whether you're looking at this on your iPad, your phone, your laptop, whatever it is, just hit that subscribe button for us, please, because about 80% of people that watch these videos aren't subscribers. So it'd do me a massive favor that. Hopefully you've done that, so thank you very much. So the old debate, are we going to pay off, are we going to interest only repayments or interest and repayment? Now, interesting or not interesting, a quick example now. Just say, for instance, now you purchased a property at 100 and what would it be, 100 about 130,000, whatever it is, and we've got a mortgage of £100,000 on that property. Okay, so we've got a mortgage of £100,000 on the property. Obviously the lender, whoever it is, so for buy to lets, it might be Precise, it might be TMW, it might be Fleet Mortgage, whoever the lender is obviously going to want payment each and every month. Now, do you decide to just put it on an interest only payment, which means that at the end of the 25 years term, you'll still owe exactly that same £100,000? Sounds stupid, doesn't it? Or do you think, right, well, at the end of that 25 years time, I want to make sure that there's nothing that it's, I've got no debt on it at all. Now, I was brought up maybe like yourself, go to school, get good grades, go to college, go to university, work hard, you get a house, pay for your mortgage, and so on. Now, before obviously I get into the full nuts and bolts of this, I was in a very fortunate position to be able to pay off my mortgage at the age of 31 because I built up a decent martial arts school, my own business, that obviously allowed us to do that. Now, the thing is though, again, it's a fantastic position to be in, to be mortgage free. Definitely, I always try to pass on knowledge to all my mentees and so on the Black Belt Property Academy. But this is the but. For property investors, we need to understand the importance of inflation and how that is going to erode over time your mortgage debt. So, for instance, now the government, I think the target is to try and keep inflation to 2.5 to 3%, whatever it is. They've got to make sure it keeps to those levels because obviously they've got an ever increasingly getting bigger and bigger and bigger national debt. So they want to make sure that inflation is eroding that somewhat. Now, we need to understand, and this isn't going to be an inflation video, that inflation can work in our favour because if, again, going back to that £100,000 mortgage that we owe, I don't know why I keep doing this as if that symbolises 100,000. In 20 years' time or 25 years' time, will that £100,000 still be £100,000? Yes, it will. But again, I'm doing quite a lot of buts here. The buying power will have significantly changed. Okay, the buying power will have significantly reduced. I'm sure there's a statistic somewhere that says, like from 1900 to 2000 or thereabouts, 100 years, the pound had lost is it about 95, 98% of its value? So again, really, we need to understand that yes, at the end of that term, I will still owe £100,000, but will that £100,000 be worth a lot more or a lot less than compared to today's money? So again, I mention this a lot as well, especially in my upcoming book. Make sure you watch out for that. Property Investors Property Investors Blueprint is due out in February 2026. So if you're watching this after February 2026, check it out. It should be on Amazon. Property Investors Blueprint by me. My name is Dervish. And we need to understand that if we're putting our properties on an interest-only mortgage, of course the cash flow will be increased, which is good because then that surplus cash flow, especially if you've got a few properties, can go into another pot or whatever to help build up another amount of money for the next joint venture or for your next 25% deposit towards another refurb, which will then allow you to refinance out. But at the same time, we need to have it in our mind that I'm still going to owe this amount in 15, 20, 25 years. Now, for us, we're fine with that because history has shown us that property always increases in value. Some of you might be thinking, well, what happens if there's a crash? Of course, there's going to be a crash, corrections, there always are. However, and again, I mentioned this in my book, probably mentioned this on a few of the blogs as well, the property cycle. So it goes up just after recession, then we've got a mid dip, where there, of course, there's a dip, but then it goes through another explosive phase, and then there's another dip. Now, that second dip is always higher than the first dip. So I'll do it again. It starts off here from like the recession type. So 2009-ish, 10-ish, whatever it was, 11, then it started to increase up again. We'd then have a little dip there. And then it starts going an explosive phase. And before then, there's another crash. I keep going off the screen. And then it starts to dip again. But that second dip there is always higher than the previous, it's 18 years, the previous dip before that. So we've got to understand the property cycle. I'm not explaining it fantastic there, but again, it's more just to give you an idea that yes, properties will crash at a certain point, but they will recover. Okay, have a look at anything what Mr. Warren Buffett says and Mr. Charlie Munger. Definitely two of the best investors in the world ever. They're obviously in it for the long term. We've got to understand that these things happen, but it will recover. Okay, what's his other saying as well? Obviously, observe the masses and do the opposite, and so on. It's a classic thing that. So going back to it, interest only versus repayment. If you decide to put it in a repayment method, at the end of the term, you're probably not going to owe anything on it at all. However, your cash flow will have been restricted for that 20, 25, maybe even 30 years. Whereas if you put it on interest only, that additional cash flow, yeah, it might be 20 quid, 50 quid, 100 quid, whatever it is, £120, £150. But that, especially if you've got a few properties, that additional cash flow then allows you to pull your resources together to buy or invest in another property, which then will return cash flow. And then 20 years down the line, 30 years down the line, I'm doing this a lot with my hands today, aren't I? The properties will be worth more, and they should have hopefully provided you with passive income if you built your business properly. So again, start to learn, start to understand the basics of inflation and how that's going to erode your debt. Start to understand the basics of passive income, or should I say the cash flow that you're going to get from the properties and what you can do with that. And again, really, try not to listen to people that don't invest in property. So a person or a family that owns their own home, they're not property investors. They're people that own their own home and they look through those glasses, which is fine. Okay, each person to their own, and again, it depends on your why. But for you, if you're looking to build a profitable property portfolio, we need to understand inflation. We need to understand, types of lending products, but we need to understand interest only versus repayment and so on. Now, again, definitely wasn't a highbrow style video, this, but it's more, hopefully it's helped a few people along. You might have been questioned, should I put it on interest only? Should I put it on repayment? And then, talking yourself into it, well, if I put it into repayment, yes, my cash flow will be a little bit lower, but at least I'm paying it off. But we've got to think, one thing I forgot to mention, whichever lender you're with, they will always front load their money. So if you take it on a 25-year product and you tie in for the first 5 years, they're going to get most of their money during that 5 years because they're going to base it on you at the year 5 going off with another lender. So just think to yourself now, what's the best use? What am I trying to do? Am I trying to just get 2 or 3, 4 properties, then, just support me in older life? Or am I trying to get 5, 10, 15, 20 plus? If so, then you need to think about things a lot differently. You definitely do. Anyway, check out the link below if you want any more information on the Black Belt Property Academy. Just keep getting up, keep showing up, keep taking steps further forward, and always continually invest in this mindset. Definitely keep investing in that mindset, okay? All right, good luck, everybody, and please make sure you subscribe as well. All the best.